Hi, today I'm here to review the Hollyland Mars X, which is their newest wireless video transmitter in their consumer range. Despite it being in the consumer category alongside the Mars 300, 400 and 400S, it's built quite a lot of excitement in the professional community for its low latency, portability, professional monitoring features and price point. The Mars X retails for £179 or $179 in the US, which is incredible considering the specs given on their site. And as a professional videographer, being able to offer the director or clients the ability to view the shot in real time on an iPad offers a great production experience. I should mention that I bought this with my own money, so this review will be as unbiased as possible. So let's get into the details. The Mars X has one HDMI input and can transmit to up to 3 iOS or Android devices via their Hollyview App, promising 1080p wireless transmission at up to 60 frames per second. The build quality feels great and it has foldable antennas, so it packs away nicely into the supplied pouch. Hollyland say the battery lasts 1 hour, and from my experience, this seems to be about right, but due to the fact it doesn't have a user replaceable battery, you'll be sure to see some reduction in its performance over its lifetime. They supply a USB-C cable for charging, and you can power the Mars X while you use it. I've been using this little Anchor power core, which I'll link down below, to stay mobile and compact, but any small power bank will do. There's a micro USB port. This is just for firmware updates, although you can update the Mars X via the Hollyview app. To mount the Mars X, there are 2 1/4-inch threads to connect to a tripod, arm, or the supplied cold shoe mount. This lets you mount it horizontally or vertically. When mounted horizontally on the camera's hot shoe, it's really compact and it looks great, but it does like to wiggle around a little bit if you don't really tighten it. To connect, just plug the Mars X into your camera with an HDMI cable. I should note that this is not supplied, and turn it on. Eventually, the video icon on the OLED display, which seems a bit overkill for what is essentially just an icon display, will eventually stop flashing and it will transmit a Wi-Fi signal for you to connect to on your device. Then enter the password, which by default is 12345678, and open up the Hollyview app. Here you can connect to the Mars X and you should be able to see your video feed. The app has a really handy channel scanning feature, which lets you see which channel is the cleanest for you, and it gives you a good guide when you're adjusting the antennas, just to make sure that they're in the right position. The Mars X has an automatic function which finds the best channel for you, but it's nice to have manual control over it if you run into any interference. I'm really impressed with the 0.0 seconds latency considering the price, and it seems to live up to its 300 feet transmission range when in line of sight. And this is when I started to see issues with the Mars X. Even when you're standing next to it, the feed isn't completely smooth and it doesn't look as sharp as expected considering it's meant to be an HD transmission. I spoke to a Hollyland engineer and they told me that to keep a high quality transmission and stable connection, they haven't yet found a way to display all of the pixel details. Apparently their research and development team are working on it, so I'm sure we'll see some improvement there, but it would have been nice if this was smoothed over before they launched the product. And this leads me on to another issue. Most of the time, I shoot on Sony A7 IIIs, and like many other Sony shooters, I shoot in S-Log. One of the main draws for me when I bought the Hollyland Mars X was the ability to apply 3D LUT so I could get a better idea of what my final image would look like. When you're working with clients who don't have any experience with video production, it also means that you don't have to explain that the image won't look as flat and unsaturated in the final video, which gives them some peace of mind. There are a few LUTs already loaded by Hollyland, which I've been told have been based on the Atomos monitors. But when I used their S-Log 2 LUT, the contrast looked fine, but the colour was off with red tints in the shadows and mids. Again, when I reached out to the Hollyland engineer to explain this, they repeated these exact steps on their side and they got the same result. And then they came back to me and they told me that because of the compression, some of the details are lost, so the colours won't be accurate. And this basically means that in a professional context, I can't use the Mars X to monitor my shot, and I'm just going to have to run into the same issues on set with explaining to the director or my client that what they see doesn't reflect the final image. When I'm shooting in 1080p and outputting a feed via HDMI, I can just use the back screen to check my color balance. But when shooting in 4K, and I should mention that this is a limitation of the Sony a7 series cameras, the back screen goes black. Without the ability to monitor color via the Hollyview app, I'm then stuck with using an HDMI splitter to feed into an external monitor which requires USB power source, and then all of that effort that I went through to create a compact run and gun setup just goes straight down the drain. I've had a play around and created my own LUT to try and compensate for some of this color shift, which I guess we'll just have to do for now. And I'll be sure to put a download link for this in the description. In this case, the ability to load my own LUTs was a bit of a lifesaver, but there's no clear guide on how to do this, so I'll show you quickly using my MacBook and iPad. Make sure you have the Hollyview app installed on your device, then find the LUTs that you want to use and simply airdrop them over to the device that you're using. Hollyview should open up once they've transferred, and that's it. Unfortunately, I don't have any Android devices, but I'm assuming that uploading them to Dropbox or Google Drive and then downloading them from there should just work in the same way. Now, I don't want to sound too negative. The other tools in the Hollyview app are great. You have a waveform monitor, histogram, focus peaking, zebras, guide frames, magnification, false colors, and monocolor. With the compression though, I do have a slight doubt how accurate any of these are. And also just a little thing, but when you're using the false colors, the range guide doesn't appear when you toggle it on and off. You have to hold down the false colors icon. One of the most useful features though is the ability to take a screenshot, annotate it and share it by just tapping the paper plane icon on the top right hand corner. And this is something that I think would also improve the experience of a director or client when working on a project with you. So what are my thoughts? Well, despite all of the issues I ran into, for the price point there's really nothing else on the market that competes with this. It's built really well, it looks great, and if you're shooting in standard color profiles, I think you'll be really happy with the performance. I'm hoping that Hollyland stick to their word and find a solution to improve the image quality and color accuracy on their Hollyview app. But until then, if you need to shoot and accurately monitor in log, I'd at least spend the extra money on the Hollyland Mars 300 so you can output to an external monitor rather than having to rely on the Hollyview app. Thanks for watching this video. If it's been useful, please give it a like, subscribe for more reviews and tips, and if there's anything else that you want to know, just drop a comment and I'll try and get back to you.